welcome to Just Talk Funerals with me, Jason Threadgold.
And me, Nichola Threadgold.
Just Talk Funerals is all about the funeral industry, the people that work alongside us, and an insight into what we do.
We will have some special guests along the way, sharing their experiences and how their professions overlap with what we do.
So get yourselves comfy, grab yourselves a cuppa, and let's get into today's episode of
Just Talk Funerals.
Welcome back to Just Talk Funerals. We've got a guest in with us today, so it's myself and Nichola, and we've got our florist that's worked alongside us for quite a while now. So we're going to introduce you to Caroline. Caroline, would you just mind saying who you are, where you're from, and what you do?
So good morning, and thank you for inviting me. I'm quite excited to come today to talk to you. So I'm Caroline, and I'm from the Flower Theatre in Messingham. And I've worked with you guys now for many, many years, as you've just said.
Excellent. Welcome, Caroline. So how long have you been a florist?
Oh, okay. Let's try and count back. I actually started as a florist as a Saturday girl. So
Okay.
if we that was the gateway in really to me understanding that I wanted to be a florist. So probably over 30 years now.
Yeah.
I've been well, obviously I was a Saturday girl, and then officially I went to do my training, which was a YTS scheme back in the day, which you may remember.
Them.
Yeah.
£29.50 a week.
That was it, yeah. So, so I started as a Saturday girl, went on to then do my official training, and then went straight into floristry, and I've been a florist ever since. I have come out of it a few times, but it's always been in the background, and I've always veered back to it. So it wasn't until we moved over to the area was when I wanted to set up my own business, which was probably nearly about 20 years ago now. So we moved to Messingham, and I was looking for premises, and I wanted to. Well, my husband actually wanted me to look for a florist that was already established, so he felt more safe with that. But I had my own ideas. I wanted to start from scratch, and I wanted to build something from within my own right, really, with my own name and with my own artistry.
Yep.
Which is when I set up Flower Theatre, which was about 20 years ago.
Yeah, fantastic. So, and would you say that sort of straight away when you started your training and you started sort of as a Saturday girl, was you introduced to funeral flowers straight away, or did that come a little bit later?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, from day dot, it's always part of the floristry shop is the funerals. Yeah. I mean, I was only a Saturday girl then, so I suppose a lot of the funerals were in the week. Yeah. So I was probably doing more sort of just your menial jobs then, like if they even let me touch the flowers, it was maybe they'd let me do a little bouquet or something like that. Yeah. But it was really when I started my proper training, the florist that I worked for, they owned a funeral directors, so we was over there daily, and then there was also another funeral director a stone's throw away from the shop. So I was always running flowers down there as well. So I was very much active, around this industry for a long time.
Okay. And what would you say, Caroline, in your experience, what makes funeral flowers very different to, say, like wedding flowers? Do you think there is a difference?
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's the sentiment behind it. I think when you're going to be making and creating something that's going to be probably one of the last things that somebody's going to do for a family. Yeah. And I think that for me is so deep and it's so emotional, that we want to get that right for families. Yeah. It's very important, to try to understand the person, just so we can really reflect that in the flowers. Yeah. So there's a lot of times where somebody's got a connection to certain flowers, whether that be from a wedding or whether that be from somebody's particularly likes those flowers, or if somebody's had those flowers bought for them over the years. Colours have a really big impact on people as well.
Yeah.
So it's really important to speak with the families to find out as much as we can, just so we can really emulate that in the last tribute.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do you feel florists and funeral directors work together behind the scenes? What's it like from your side? Because obviously we know what it's like from our side.
Yeah. So of course you do a lot of speaking initially to the families.
Yeah.
But of course then that then gets transpired to me once you've spoke with the family. So sometimes it can be very simple.
Yeah.
And we can just transfer the order straight away. We do obviously have the books that we like to show the family, just so they've got an idea. Yeah. Obviously, as we know, we like to expand that and let them know that there's way more choice that they can have. But people do like to have something to sort of start with, and then they can build on that should they need to. But what we find is some people like to just choose from there. Yeah. But then equally, we'll get some families who really have a specific needs and wants, and either want to talk to me direct, which again, you guys will pass information, so I can also speak to the families direct should we need to. So really, we just go by every individual, don't we? Specific.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, we've worked with you for many years, haven't we? We've worked alongside you and collaborated with you. And I think that really helps families, doesn't it? The fact that you know in a way that how we work, but we sort of also know how you work. So that collaboration works really well, doesn't it?
Yeah,
in terms of making sure that we are all getting to the right place to help our families.
Absolutely. I mean, as we know, we had to get to know each other in the beginning. We've changed sort of in the very beginning. We used to speak to each other, didn't we? That's how we would, it would be a phone call to send an order through. Yeah. And then over the time now, technology has got more introduced to what we use every day. Yeah. So now we'll use more sort of through the email, but equally, we know that we can speak to each other anytime should we need to, or if we need to clarify anything, we're only at the other end of the phone. And I think that's what we've learned now is because we only get one shot at this, I think more so than anything else that we need to make sure that if there was any mismatch on not understanding the order, then of course we will always clarify, and we do this on a weekly basis as well to make sure that we definitely know that we've got this right and where we sit with it, and that it's going to be correct.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's very important is that we never assume, do we? What maybe you're thinking, or vice versa. We've got to check.
Yeah.
Again, it's really important.
Yeah.
Isn't it? And I'm thinking as well, you talk about technology, and it not really dawned on me, but how we have sort of over the years changed in terms of communication, haven't we?
Yeah.
Because technology just moves forward, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And actually from where we were when we used to just ring you all the time to now it is more technology based in how we communicate.
Yeah.
Times are changing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, so you kind of touched on this already, but we'll expand on it a little bit. So why do you think flowers play such a kind of pivotal role in celebrating somebody's life?
Well, I think that it goes deep, and I think when you actually think about the funeral itself, I mean, the flowers, they just soften the whole look of the funeral. Yeah. I think when you're in the creme or church or wherever it would be that you're doing the service, to sort of be able to, naturally your eyes will be drawn to the coffin. Obviously that's your loved one in there. So to have then something soften that look, which is the flowers, it just hits just a little bit softer. And it's something that goes alongside such a sadness, but something so beautiful as well. And I think when somebody can look at the flowers and actually, again, associate that with the person, then again, that makes somebody almost just feel a little bit softer, or a little bit of a smile inside that actually says, yeah, that was them. Yeah.
It's a comfort, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah, I can see that in them. Yeah. I mean, over the years, we've done, from like football tributes to even just the colours of the football, even if it wasn't a tribute of the emblem or anything like that. It could be just the colours of, which we do a lot of. It could be, like I said then, I've reassembled somebody's wedding bouquet before, obviously into funeral flowers. So there's lots of different ways that we can bring this to, alive for that moment, and people feel real comfort in that.
Do you find that when you're having discussions with families, people kind of assume they know your generic flowers and you go for your chrysanthemums, your carnations, your gerbils, them sort of things? Do you think that until they've had a discussion with you, they don't know what other options are available and what other things you can actually incorporate into these arrangements?
Yeah, of course. We do have all year round flowers, which are, like you've just said, this is why they become so ingrained with people, because we see them quite often. But then we do have flowers which are obviously seasonal and come in and out of seasons. So just sort of opening people's minds really to what is available. We've done ones before when people realise that they can even have tropical flowers should they want them. Then we can sort of bring anything to the table for people, and it's just about communicating.
And we're finding more often than not now, people are really conscious about carbon footprint and sustainability. What's your thoughts on incorporating that into floristry as well?
Yeah, we do have the eco box that we've used many times for the funerals. The eco box it's a box, it's a wooden box, and then inside we put the jam jars, and then we just have flowers in the jars, like little arrangements which make the whole arrangement. And then after the funeral, the little jam jars can be given out to the family at the wake and friends and family. And then obviously the box comes back to us. So there's absolutely no waste at all in there. There are other things that we can do now. The oasis that we use, which is a green sponge that the flowers go in, we have an eco version of that. Or we can just go right back to basics and do it with moss and chicken wire.
Right.
Yeah, which is a really old-fashioned, before even oasis was even a thing. That was the way to do it. Or if people are quite conscious of the eco, just a sheaf of flowers, which is just the cut flowers. Again, we're definitely seeing those come through when people are wanting to think about sustainability.
Are you seeing people incorporate physical plants into arrangements as opposed to cut flowers?
To be honest, just the last couple of weeks, we've had people. I've got so there's a nice one that I'm just doing actually for you guys this week. It's a wreath, but it's made of wicker. It's a wicker basket, and then that will all just have plants in it. So again, that can stay, that can just stay a bit longer, and then it can be replanted through as long as it lasts, with the wicker being outside. But it's something again that will just be a bit more sustainable and can last a bit longer.
Amazing.
Yeah. And again, even like with the plants, we've done the eco box before with plants. So again, even plants then can be given out at the end at the wake, which again people can take home and plant. Which again is something lovely about that. Seeing something grow.
Great idea.
Yeah, definitely.
So creative, isn't it? And we've even incorporated vegetables, haven't we?
Yes.
And they do look stunning, don't they? Some of these arrangements, that there is no creative license, is there, when it comes to these, arrangements?
Yeah.
And if that is sort of representing that person, then that's amazing, isn't it?
So again, that feeds back in, doesn't it? It's representing the person always. Yeah. It's always going back to the family and the people that you're designing for, to make it so bespoke and unique and for the person that's passed.
Yeah. Okay. Something that we wanted to talk about was sort of cost of flowers. Now, obviously, I think certainly from the pandemic as well, we've seen such a rise in the cost of flowers, and some families may have sort of budget worries around, are my flowers going to cost a lot of money, and are there expectations around that? Can you sort of talk us through, around budgets and how you work in terms of that?
Yeah, I think it's probably one of the hardest things that we challenge as a florist, because we're working with live live pricing.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like, say, like wood for your coffins, it'd be a price. Yes, it then might go up, but then you'll be able to say by next month or the month after it's going to be at this price. We're working literally with daily prices. So supply and demand have probably one of the most connotations to it, because with it being live, so if we're talking sort of around any of the big three, which is Christmas, Valentine's and Mother's Day, then naturally the supply, that the demand is high and the supply will only be what we only have as many flowers as what we've got in the world. We don't have any more than that growing at that rate. And since the pandemic, a lot of the growers have gone under, have stopped growing. We've got less suppliers now. So of course that all has a knock-on effect to us. And one day we can see the chrysanths that we use for massing the mums and the frameworks that we have, like the mums, the dads frames. So that little chrysanth that we use, we could literally see that double in price within a week. And we can't be that reactive to the pricing. So we'll take a hit sometimes and then we'll make sometimes. So it's so hard. This is probably one of our biggest challenges is the prices. I mean, even when we look at this, nobody really believes this, but even say in summer, let's say we've got a big shake over in Dubai or some Saudi place that's got a massive wedding going on, and they want in all calla lilies and roses, a particular rose, that will have a knock-on effect to us. Because the supply goes down. So if you need white calla lilies, but then they've taken all this supply, then there'll be less supply that comes through through Holland, which means then that has a knock-on effect to us, which means then the price goes higher. So this is why we're so just in the dark, really, sometimes about some prices. We do have like staple things like sort of roses. There's so much supply of those, and we can get them now from Ecuador as well as we can get them. There's a sort of a huge Colombian, Ecuadorian roses that come through now, as well as like the Holland and other places that will grow them. So with those, we kind of tend to have a lot of supply, so they're a lot more static than what, say, some of the other flowers are. So, but we can be quite reactive on those. And then, of course, there's flowers that are very delicate as well that don't last. So again, is you wouldn't want to, and because of the price of those, it's not something that you can buy in and hold in and just think, oh, we might have to buy 50, but a funeral tribute might only need 10, so I'm left with 40. If they're not at a price that I can sort of think, oh, I can sell that out, then we've got to make a decision on what we do with the extra 40. So it can be quite challenging, the buy-in side of flowers.
I remember just you talking then a time, it was a while ago, when a family had requested some lily of the valley.
Yes.
And I remember being quite surprised and shocked when you told me about what the cost of something like lily of the valley was. And that was probably a couple of years ago, when that was a situation that arose with the family that had requested it. And the amount that you got was quite minimal for the cost. Absolutely. It was like, whoa, that's crazy money. Yeah,
that's it. This is, it really is. I mean, like lily of the valley, I mean, I can't really tell you now without looking at my live list whether or not, for one, it's even available, or for two, how much it's going to be. I literally have no clue. But whereas if you ask me about a red rose or a yellow rose, I could probably give you an idea, because again, it's something that we see every day, and that we use daily. But like with the lily of the valley, we have to buy it in a root ball, so it will come in its root, and it would sort of almost be a plant that they've just wrapped up and sent us over. And then we'll have to buy probably, I would say, the minimum of like 25 stems. And they can be easily £2.50 plus VAT each for us to buy. I have seen it cheaper, but equally I've seen it more expensive as well. So it's really, we have to just wait until that moment.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me even to give somebody a price even 2 weeks in advance.
Yeah, because it'll fluctuate.
Yeah, because it'll fluctuate so much.
Yeah, Craig. And I don't think you realise there's so much supply and demand for flowers. But when you start to think about it, you sort of start to understand it a bit more, don't you?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I think we're just very naive, and that sometimes we just think we can get it, it's not a problem.
Yeah.
You know, whatever we ask for is there on the shelf, when
Yeah.
actually that's not how flowers are, is it?
No, not at all. And again, it's even in florists, you know, it's hard. You can't have every flower every day in every colour.
Yeah.
You know, it's not possible because we wouldn't be able to hold that much stock.
Yeah.
So, I mean, luckily, we do have suppliers that are really good for us, and that they hold obviously more than what we hold, and we can normally get that on a daily basis. So, for instance, this afternoon, I will look at my live list that goes live at midday, and I'll be able to see what I can get them for tomorrow. So that will then, I'll buy that today, and then that will get delivered to me overnight for tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And I think, again, naively for me, coming into this industry, and again, speaking with you over the years, and I think initially when, you know, chatting with families and they're saying, oh, you know, when we talk about, is there a favourite flower? Is there something that you would like? And they would say something, and I would ring you, and you would say, yeah, but that's not in season. And initially, I had never used to think about that.
Yeah.
I quickly learned.
yeah.
But, you know, you start to sort of understand a bit more that, you know, I guess poppies is one that springs to mind.
Yeah,
you know, lots of people want poppies, but they're not available all year, are they?
No.
You know, so, you know, having to understand things like that as well, and maybe flowers that, I mean, I don't profess to be really good at flower names and things, but, you know, there must be loads of flowers out there that maybe people request, but they're not in season.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting better, as in a lot of growers probably will grow, like, for instance, hydrangeas. When I first started floristry, they were literally in season when they were in season, whereas now we can tend to get a supply of those all year round. Not maybe the colour choice that you can get in summer, but definitely probably the staple, maybe like the whites and the blues. You can normally get sort of year round, but definitely things like daffodils, they'll be sort of coming in season now. But once they're done, they are done. So they won't be available after, say, April time. And then again, is if it's really important to the family, which is what we've done before, we might have to go down the artificial road, just so then you can have maybe mixed with fresh flowers.
Yeah. Which looks nice, I must say.
Yeah.
As long as you get that right quality of, if it's a synthetic style.
Yeah, exactly. So you can certainly, we can try to manoeuvre if we can do for the family.
Yeah.
And offer something at least.
Yeah. Okay. So that leads me nicely into talking around time pressures for you, Caroline. I mean, obviously, when we're arranging a funeral, you know, we've got a certain amount of time that obviously we've got to get all of our ducks in a row, and I guess it must be the same for you. Once you receive an order, there must be time constraints for you. Is that quite pressuring at times?
Yeah, definitely, especially when you've got a lot of work on, or like I said, we're in the big three, which is Valentine's, Mother's Day, or Christmas. Obviously, you know that you've got a lot of work already.
Yeah.
And then, of course, if funeral work is put on that, and sometimes you don't know what funeral work's coming in until a bit closer to the time. So you're trying to gauge all the time how much physically you can do as a person, and how much work that you can put in there. But I am kind of known as the fastest florist in the West. So
that's a great one. Definitely. Yeah, definitely. And I think, you might be aware of that. Yeah, and I guess for us, if we're being really honest, time pressures, there are times when we've maybe sent an order through and everything's all great, and then a family will come and say, oh, there's only a couple of days to go, and actually we now we've forgotten a posy, or we've forgotten something.
Yeah.
And then we're sort of ringing you quite frantically saying, we've only got a couple of days, or, can you produce something?
Yeah, I think the worst thing about that is the fact of, can I deliver?
Yeah.
Because it's not about me and my time.
Yeah.
It's more about the fact of if I can get the product in.
Yeah.
because what I like to do is, because like I've said, so I can go on my live list today at 12, and then I can order and it'll be here tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I'm only as good as how they're working. So if they have a breakdown, if the vans can be stopped at customs, and they can be there hours before they can even come through, which then has a knock-on effect to the day.
Yeah.
So then if somebody's ordered something the day before for the next day, and I don't have the product in, and then the funeral's early, I have to be honest, and let's not over-promise something that we might not be able to deliver. So, for instance, the more open somebody can be at that point, then that means the more than I'll definitely be able to deliver, because it only takes like that. It only takes somebody to have a blowout, on their van.
Yeah.
And we're now hours later. It's like this weather that we are at the minute. It's just had a knock-on effect to the time that I'm receiving the deliveries. So that's more of the issue rather than me being able to do the work.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I'm quite fast, so I can normally be able to do something for somebody.
Yeah.
But it's more of me getting the flowers that the family wants.
Yeah.
So I suppose the closer it is, that's why I always try to say, please just be as open as possible.
Yeah, sure.
Because then if the worst case scenario happens and those flowers are late and they haven't arrived, then I can at least still make something with what I have got.
Yeah.
So that's probably the hardest side, because what I normally do is I normally buy myself a day. So I would normally get the flowers in. Depends what they are. I mean, if it's something like lilies, like I've always said to you guys before, I'm like, please order it like a week before, please.
Yeah, so
because that's it. When you've got flowers that we're working with Mother Nature, she'll do what she'll do. And they will open when they open. I mean, the amount of times I've had them in, I must have had sometimes like 50 lilies in my hallway with me praying every morning, coming down, go, please open, please open.
Yeah.
So with those sorts of things, we're waiting for Mother Nature to do her work, whereas there's other flowers that can be just like, that's where I'll do sort of the 2 days before. So then if they haven't arrived, or there's been an issue, or they haven't made, sometimes they don't make transport, you see, coming from Holland, and I've done this many times before. So say like we need something really specific, like a sweet pea or lily of the valley or something like that, or forget-me-nots, then, and they've only been ordered, then sometimes they can miss transport. If they miss transport, then you've lost a day. So it's trying to work with that timings, so you're not having them in too early, because there's some flowers I like forget-me-nots, particularly and lily of the valley, which really aren't long lasting.
Yeah.
So you don't want them in very early, but equally I need to still buy that day just in case.
Yeah.
So it's that's sort of the equalising part.
I think as well what comes to mind is it's a bit like us, isn't it? When we're doing things, when we're in control, it's fine.
Yes.
It's when you've got other people doing things, isn't it? That's when you get a bit nervous, because you're not in control of what they're doing, or how they're getting things to you.
Yeah.
And I think we're very similar, aren't we? When we're in control, it's great, but when you've got a third party or a supplier, it's out of your control.
Absolutely. Because as well, I mean, we're working with natural products as well. Sometimes it'll come in and the quality won't be great, and I'll be like, okay. So then I'll have to phone my supplier and say, that's not good enough. We need a replacement. And again then I've lost myself a day, even by doing that, because I can't get it until then the next day.
Really interesting. And let's just have a moment to talk about cultural and religious, different cultures and different religions. We've done some, services for like Hindus, and, their flowers are just so flamboyant, aren't they? And, is there some that you sort of remember more than others? Is there anything that you've done that's been very different in terms of a different culture, or? I think it was sort of springs to mind. I think we did one during
COVID. I think it was was it Hindu? It was a big, wasn't it? The Sikh, sorry.
Religious symbol, yeah.
Yeah. So, and that was huge.
It's on a huge board. Yeah.
It was, yeah. That was probably one of the biggest because it was to sit in the back window, wasn't it?
That's right.
And I think I remember you came to the shop to pick that up from that day, and then I think, and then I think we did something not long ago. That was a bit different. That was where they had a religious ceremony, but they needed vases to go at the side of the shrine.
That's right. Yeah.
So that one was not long ago. So that's probably a little bit different to how we do things.
Yeah.
Okay, couple of quick fire questions.
Oh, okay.
So, preference for you? Single-ended or double-ended?
Double-ended.
Okay. Wreath or heart?
Wreath.
Crosses or bespoke tribute?
Bespoke.
Okay, explain why.
Ooh.
Bespoke tribute. So is it more about putting your flair on it and people's personality into it as opposed to generic?
Yeah, I think it's always fun. I mean, the funnest one I ever did, and again, everything's not always sad, as you know, with funerals. There's humour also involved. And I remember I had to do some false teeth for somebody once, and it was a great story. You know, a dad, he drops his false teeth constantly, and she actually said to him, "That will be your tribute." So when she came to me and she said, I need some false teeth, I was like, okay, let's do this. So, yeah, I mean, there's, that it always brings some humour to it. And, again, like you said, something really.
And I think when it comes to the bespoke ones, I mean, you've got to be really keen on your design. And I'm going to tell you to an instance that you don't know about this, and it wasn't one of your arrangements, what happened to us recently. So we had a dog tribute turn up. And on this service, they've had to mould the shape of the dog out of Oasis. Yeah. And it turned out they'd not secured the head correctly onto this dog. And off we went. And then the dog's head decided it's going to take a little roll away. So we had to then improvise and use like skewers and things to put that back together. This is the bit people don't kind of see in the background, where they just assume you're given a remit of something that you want and it's naturally produced and you just put the flowers into it. A lot of it is you're having to physically cut the Oasis as well and make it into objects.
Yeah. I mean, I've been in B&Q, looking for stuff, to make things look like what I've been asked to do. I think we did forklift. It was not long ago. Well, I don't know, maybe a year.
There's a train that comes to mind as well, and the wheels that you'd done for the train. Obviously, you're not going to go out and be able to buy a train wheel. No. And it was making something look like a train, and it did.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, and I use like expanding foam for the smoke, and so B&Q is a great place.
Do you often, Caroline, find yourself saying yes to these and then thinking, oh my goodness, I'm feeling quite stressed about...
Absolutely.
I mean, you must have to go and research some of these things as well. That must take a lot of time as well.
Oh, the background of it, trying to make sure that the cutting of it and trying to make sure... Because as well, when you cut it, when you put flowers in it, again, it looks different again. So you almost have to go a bit smaller and a bit... you've got to try to keep things quite as simple as what you can.
Yeah.
Because there are some things which naturally in life are so intricate, but you could never be able to. So you have to try to simplify it in a way. But again, it's that thought process, and it's obviously the dimensions of it as well, and the trying to make sure that everything is in proportion. So there's a lot, it type of is a different sort of artistry behind the bespoke items. And again, it's because I want, I put a lot of pressure on myself as well, because I always want to make sure it looks
That's we do,
well,
don't we?
Yeah.
It's got to be right.
Yeah, and it looks right. So I'm very critical of myself, to be like, no, that's not good enough. No, I can't, no. And then I'll rework it. So it's hours and hours and hours goes into them. Yeah. And just like that, things sort of falling apart. A lot of it is trying to make sure that secureness is is paramount before the flowers go in, because that's again another thing. What will happen is it's the heaviness that creates once the flowers goes in. So the structure's got to be really kind of robust before you even
like an engineering exercise.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, tie wraps and Gorilla Glue and all sorts.
Yeah, fantastic. I wanted to talk a little bit about the emotional side of funeral floristry and the emotional responsibility that you have of creating funeral tributes. And, you know, do you ever feel that connection in terms of emotion?
Absolutely. I think in the very early days, I'd be really emotional with families. I would really struggle myself when I was talking, because I found myself putting myself in their shoes, and I found it quite hard, and I had to have a word with myself, really, because I was probably getting more upset than that wasn't right.
Yeah.
But I really this is why I love doing funeral work. Funeral work for me now, I think it was since I lost my dad. In the early days, I used to do a lot more wedding work. And then my preference is definitely funeral work. And that was since I lost my dad. That then I wanted to do the switch, because I then understood, and I had that real connection then of how important it is, and the depth of what it means emotionally for families. So, and I wanted to be able to create just that last tribute for somebody and make it completely right.
Yeah.
So what I do a lot of times is, if it's somebody that comes to me direct, I'll offer for the people to come in the day before to come to see the flowers, so they can take photographs. Because I think on the day people are in a completely different headspace.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
There is, and I think as well that when it is flowers, I've had to try to emulate what's in their head and put it into my head, because it's not, again, it's not just something you see and say, I want that. I mean, even with the brochures, there might not be things available. It might be out of season, so chances are we're still changing it up, even though it's going to be a version of what you've seen. It won't be a carbon copy. Even if I did two things, there won't be twins, they'd be sisters. They couldn't possibly be the same, because it's natural product. So I just think it's important to, if you can take that weight away from somebody, if they know what's coming and they know that that's right and what they wanted. And a lot of times people do like to take photographs. And again, at the funeral, it's not really something that people will do. So obviously having that chance before to have that moment with, obviously, and people have got emotional when they've seen the flowers. Some people have smiled when they've seen the flowers. Again, it does create some emotion with people.
Yeah, there's that connection, isn't there?
Yeah, so just to be able to see them beforehand is really lovely for people.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Is there any sort of meaningful moments that you can share with us, sort of just more general, not too specific, in terms of things that have stayed with you over the years?
There's so many. That's like, I think a lot. I think when you have children, I think that's really hard. And I think, but equally on the other side of that, when you've had somebody who's sort of made it to a really good age, equally, because then somebody's had that person in their life for so long, that it all became, that you would never imagine that person would not be here anymore. So, and there's and I don't know, maybe you're the same, Jason, with this, that it's sometimes the really harrowing ones that you can't help but stay. Again, is that, I don't know how far to divulge, but it was somebody who I'd done wedding flowers for, and not long after that, done funeral flowers for.
That's sad, isn't it?
Yeah. I can well up even now with that.
Yeah.
Well, you've got that emotional connection because you've been through that journey with them in celebration.
Yeah.
And now you're doing the same with kind of half the party in mourning, aren't you?
Yeah.
So, yeah, we get that.
Yeah.
You totally understand.
And I think living in an area that's quite small as well, in a village, you've known people as well. You know, been there, you know, over sort of over 20 years with the shop. So sort of seeing these people through cycles as well, you know, they've been part of my business.
Yeah.
And then
they're part of your community, aren't they?
That's it, yeah. And then not be here anymore, then that's really touching as well.
Yeah.
And it's really lovely when somebody's trusted me as well.
I was going to say that's such a privilege for
Yeah.
you, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Because as well, I really do think about the person when I make the flowers.
Yeah.
You know, I don't just do the flowers.
No.
You know, I'll make sure that I have a little space in my mind when I'm doing it.
Yeah.
If I've known the person, you know, to sort of think about them and remember sort of conversations and, you know, them maybe have come in the shop before and it's very humbling as well.
Okay.
If you could give one bit of advice to people when they come to looking at purchasing funeral flowers, what do you think that would be?
To really think about the person that I'll be designing for. You know, even if that's sort of trying to sort of dig right back into memory, and see if we can really bring some personality into that for the person, wherever that will be. Because I know when people are in grief, sometimes it's a grieving brain, isn't it? It's so emotional at that point. But I just would not want somebody in years to come to think, oh, I should have done this or I should have done that. So even if it took a bit of time to think, if I could do something, then, and I certainly would. So having that thought before, and that I can bring that to life for somebody.
Okay, so just to close, we just want to thank you very much for talking to us today. I think it's been really enlightening. And I think a thank you really, not just on my behalf, but probably on our team, because we've learnt so much about flowers, Caroline, since we've worked with you, to understand a little bit more about how, you know, the different flowers. And as I say, we've talked about the seasons, we've talked about the different types of flowers that we use. So it's definitely been a journey for us as well. But thank you very much for coming in and chatting to us today.
Thank you, I've loved it. Thank you.
I think probably an apology from me as well for putting so much pressure on you at times as well. Having had this conversation now, I understand a little bit more about what goes on in the background. I never really realised that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, so that's today's episode, and we will see you soon. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Just Talk Funerals.
We really care about what you think. We'd love your feedback on the subjects raised today, or maybe you have a question you would like us to talk about in a future episode. You can contact us by emailing podcast@threadgoldfunerals.com.
If you'd like to know more about what we do and the services we offer, then please head to jasonthreadgoldfuneraldirector.com. Thank you for joining us today, and see you next time.